Okay, welcome back to our Flappy Bear tutorial. And this time we'll be working on our HUD. That's our heads up display. Yeah. But in our last tutorial, what we did was spawning of the pipe, then the collision. Also, we make use of the score. So we're going to work on that and display it right now. So let's head up to our scene. Then we're going to add a texture button. Okay, that's good. Rename this to HUD. Then I think we'll set this to its full rect. I'm just going to close this bottom panel. Then, okay. Now, first off, we're going to need our logo on the start. So let's actually add a texture rect. So for our texture rect, I think we'll position this at the top and we just drag it down. That is our Flappy. Okay, I think here it is. Yeah, our message. So just drag this here. That's good. And I think what we need to do now, I think let's zoom this. Okay, yeah. So we can actually see that pixelated form. That was what we did in our project setting is texture. So if we were to set this to linear, then you can see. So I think you can actually see that on your computer is that the nearest is actually more cleaner. Okay. So now let's just drag this here. And I think I'm gonna just expand it a little. Set this again. Drag. Okay, yeah. I'm just gonna get rid of this. Okay. Yeah, so now I think let's rename this to we aren't saving this yet. So F2 to rename. Let's rename this to banner. I think that's okay. Then I think yeah, let's see this. We can save this now. Go to our user interface and save. So now let's instance this in our main scene. And here, so that looks great. Now, so think at the beginning, we actually want to hide our player. So where's our player? Let's just, okay. So we want to hide our player at the beginning, but for now we can just keep that. Now, let's work on our score. So yeah, now for our score, we're going to use horizontal box container. So this is going to be used to store our score. Now I'm going to show you how this is going to work in a second. So let's just rename this to score container. Now move this here. So this is where our score is gonna be. Drag it down a little. And this is actually good. Yeah, so 2 is okay. And let's just expand this. Yeah. So what we want to do for our score is we want to add use concatenate it, I'll say. So these values. So if the player score is one, we're gonna just like we did for the background, we're gonna just loop through our score, that's our score variable. Then if the first value, let's say our score is 10, then when we loop through it, we want, all we just want to do is get our one from here. Then we're just going to set this here. If it's 10, then the second zero just, so let me just show you this. So we're actually going to use a texture rate, which is going to make it better. So if our score was to be 10, that'll just be 1, let's say just 11. So as you can see, this is actually going to make it look like as if it was 11. So all we just need to do is add a texture rate for each score. I think we'll get to that because I'm not really sure I'm explaining that well. So let's just, our alignment, we want it to be at the center, and let's add a script. Okay, I think we're going to use this also for our final score in a minute, and this should just be okay as its name. Yeah. Okay, now first off, let's actually, let's work with something so we can just see what we're working on. Let's actually declare a score variable. So var score, let's just imagine this was actually 0. So basically what we want to do is, so basically what we want to do is, then just get our texture rate at the beginning, but just gonna name this text. Then let's just use this as but still gonna get rid of this. Okay, so if our score was to be 0 already, let's just say our texture rate, that's text. I think let's use a better variable to get actually an error. Texture rect dot our texture is equals to, now we're going to load this here, and this is going to be a string. So or okay, so let's say res, I think it's actually for a number. So we're going to get rid of this 0 just like we did before. So we're going to convert this to a string, our score, and yeah. So this should be 0 whenever. Okay, so as you can see, this is 0. If I were to change our score to 6, now this is going to give us 6. But in a situation where we had a number like 10, this isn't actually going to work. As you can see, it's going to give us a bug. It's going to throw an error for us since it can actually find that in our file. So what we want to do is loop through the score. Then let's start with that. So let's say our score to string is equals to string score. Now, also we want to create, let's get rid of this texture. We want to create a new texture rect that is using the new function. So we'll say y get child count. Well, this child count is going to get the numbers of child under our score container. Presently, we don't have any child, so this is going to return 0. If our child is less than our score to string dot length, then we want to add a texture. Add, okay, no. Okay, now I want to create a texture. So I don't want, let's actually use a function for this. Add texture node. Okay, so yes, we don't need our process function. Add our texture node, and this is going. So what I want to do now is actually texture rect is equals to, instead let's do of a type texture and is equals to texture rect rect.new. Yeah. So now we're just gonna add this as a child. Add texture rect. So this is just gonna add our texture rect. So let's test this out. So presently this is supposed to actually add two texture rates. That is one for the 10 and probably one for the 1 and one for our 0. So if we go to remote underscore, as you can see, so it actually worked. Yeah. But then we get a bug. No, not found texture rate. Okay, so that's just our already function. But so let's get rid of this. And now I think what, okay, so now we've learned how to create this. Now let's actually loop through our our texture rect. So this, we want to loop through them, then assign the values to each one. So for the first one, for the first child, we want its texture rate texture to be 1. That's this. Then for the second child, we want it to be 0. So just going to stop this for I in get children. So that is going to get all the children for our score container. And we're just going to say I the texture. I the texture is equals to load, and so uh, okay, yeah. So what we want to do now is actually we need to know what texture, what index, let's just call it an index we are in. So let's just call, say, let's declare a variable for index is equals to 0. Yeah, so what we're just going to do now is we're just going to say score to string. So, and index, that should work. Yeah. So what this just gonna do is, firstly, this is going to convert our integer, our score, to a string. Then we're going to loop through. Then we're going to check if our get child count is less than is score to string length. So this is going to be a while. So this is only going to stop running if this is actually equal. Then we're going to loop through all its children and set its value. So let us say if we're on the first score, that is, let us say for 1, which is our score to string dot 0, then this is going to get our 1 for us. So score to string into bracket 0 is going to give us 1. Then also lastly, what we want to do is actually just index plus equals 1. So that's just going to increment this. Then at the end of everything, we want our index to go turn back to 0. Yeah. So I think this is good. Then we're actually going, oh, let's test this out. Okay. So as you can see, working perfectly. Let's do something like 999. And yeah, so everything's just going to fit into the box and just expand. Now, I think we don't need this anymore. We're going to get rid of that. Then itself, we're just going to use our change this update score. So this is actually going to be like signal. Signal, no? Okay. So let's actually go back and work on our other stuff. So we have our score container. Then also we're going to need our score, that is the score, final score at the end of our game. So this too is actually going to be easy. Let's just call this a extract, and we're just going to center this. Since centering it is good, drag this around here and just expand this. Okay, I think let's actually go to our main scene. Just test this out. Okay. Just going to drag it a little bit up, and that's all. So now let's rename this to score panel, and we're actually just going to use the same script we used for our container. So you don't need to write a different one for our HB box for our phone. Then just set this around here, drag this here. Then I'm just going to, okay, center this. Let's just call this our run score or point. Let's say our point score container. And also let's just duplicate this, and we're just going to rename this to our best score container. So our best score, what we want to do is try move this here, or also here. Then just drag this, I think control on your keyboard to select it, and I think both are scaled perfectly. Yeah. So what you just need to do now is think, just look for our score container script, then just load it for actually both of them. Okay, so that's good. I think we're almost done for our heads-up display. Now we want to work on our, should we work on our game over now? Okay, so let's just add our game over too. So we're also going to add a texture button again. So this is, we're going to use this for our game over. And this will be set in the middle too. So let's hide this and this so we can actually work. And what we want to do now is expand this and drag your button normal and button pressed, then ignore, or no, actually keep aspect centered, or I think scale is okay. Yeah, so just gonna expand this a little and center this again. And okay, so actually this is supposed to be down up. So then we actually need to move this upward. This is going to be our game over text. So let's just, so we don't get confused, rename this to game over and rename this to restart button. Then let's just adjust this a little bit. We're going to use our mid and snap to get our perfect make it perfect. Let's actually work with this. I think I'm just gonna drag our start button to be a child of our skull panel. So just gonna move our skull panel. So that's just gonna move both the skull panel and our body. And let's see how that looks. So yeah, I think that's gonna be okay. So just need to adjust it and get rid of those extra spaces. So here on this item, yeah, I think that should be it. Yeah, so that looks good. Now, what we want to do is actually we're going to hide this and this. All we need to display is our score panel at the start of our game. And what we're going to do now is add a script. So HUD is fine and create. Okay, so let's just get some few node. We're just going to declare an already for our banner. Get new and banner. Going to duplicate this multiple times. So we're going to add our score container. We're also going to get our point. Let's just say point score and our best or container. Okay, yeah. So right now, what we want to do is declare two variables. Yeah. So we're just going. This is where we're actually going to store our score for the player. Our score and our best score. Now that should be good. Now get rid of this. I don't think we actually need those. And first off, let's start off by connecting this signal. So on pressed, we want so whenever the texture button is pressed, we want to disable the button so that the user can click it again. So I think just going to set this true. I will hide our banner and what we want to do. So when we click the button, we want to disable our texture button, then hide this banner that's the Flappy logo. Also, we want to emit a signal that the game has started. So just start game and we're going to say start game that emits. Yeah, I think that's good. And what do we want to do again? Okay, let's actually connect our other signal. So on restart button press, connect that like that. And I think this is actually something real simple. So we're just going to get three dots, reload our current scene. So this is just going to restart the tree again from the beginning. So yeah, I think for now that should be it. And let's actually test this. So click on the button. Yeah. So now what we want to do now is a countdown for our player. We want to work on a countdown for our player. So let's go to our main script and what we're going to do is actually connect this signal. So on start of our game, connect. Yeah. So what we want to do is our player dot. So when we start our game, we want our a countdown to start. So the countdown is just going to count from three downwards. Then our Flappy Bird will actually just be floating, so it's just going to keep on playing the animation which was already playing there. Then after the timer, we want our process function that's for our player. We want to set that to false so our player can begin its movement. So let's work on that. So first up, let's go to our player. We're going to declare a function func ready. Let's say let's call it ready animation player. Ready animation player, I think that's okay. So we're going to receive a value, and this is going to be of a type void. It's not going to return anything. So what we're going to do is if our value is true, we'll just want to play our get ready animation. So get rid of this here, else our animation player dot stop. So that's going to get rid of the animation whenever the bed collides with the pipe like before. So whenever, okay, I think did we do that? Okay, we haven't said that. So let's just copy this here and already set this to true. Okay, so when our player collides, when our countdown is done, we want to stop this animation. So I think that's going to work. And let's just head over to our player. And the player or me. Okay. Let's just expand this. Random bed. So at the start of our game, pick a random bed. Our animation play. Set its gravity. Player move pause. Animation sprite dot play. Then we want to hide our player. Yeah. So I want to get, I think all this would actually make this in okay. So at the start of our game, our player is actually just going to throw an error. So just pass this and our player, okay. So we having to call this player visible equals to or probably so writing all this. Oh, let's just write it here. True. So no, sorry, false. We don't want to display our player at the start of the game. So all we just want is our Flappy. Then as you can see, our pipe also moves. We want to stop our pipe from moving at the start of our game. And okay, that is just something real simple. So in our timer, we're actually going to stop our auto stats, and this will get rid of our problem. So the timer isn't going to call, and yeah, now let's walk our countdown. So let's just say why countdown. Okay, what you need to declare variable. Yes, why countdown is greater than 3. We want, so okay, we want, let's get this here already, but let's say our HUB get node. Yeah. Oh, probably what do we need to get? So let's just get our score container. Since this is where we're going to be displaying our time. We actually need our HUB. So think okay, so let's actually go back to our HUB, then declare a function which we're going to use to update the score. Or, sorry, I don't know actually what I'm saying. We actually have that. So we're just going to say our HUB does update score, which we already have here. not update signal score. So let's rename this to score. Control copy and paste this. Okay, so what we want to do now is as our countdown. Our countdown past this. Then we're going to do wait a second. So get tree dot create timer, which is going to be 1.0, and we're going to wait for our timeout signal. Then we're simply just going to minus it. So this should work. So I start off again. 3, 2, 1, 0. So that's our countdown, and that looks really, really good. Now, one thing we need to work on is also our player. Let's make it visible when we click the button. So just copy this. Let's got in our player. So player dot control paste this and set this to true. Then also we want our ready animation. Okay, so I think our ready animation is already set to true, so we don't really need to. Okay, so already 3, 2, 1, 0. Yeah, so that's really good. So our game is coming along. Then when it reaches 0, what we want is our player to start its movement. So we're just going to simply call our player dot set this to true. And we want to stop the animation for our player. So player dot ready animation. Going to stop that and set that to false. Okay, is that all? What do we need to do again? Let's start the timer for our pipe. So okay, I think we already got our pipe timer. So what we're just going to do is form pipe timer. Just start. Yeah, so that should be it. And let's test this out. Okay, I think this is really, really good. So our game is actually coming along now. As you can see, our score keeps updating here. Then we also, I think the movement was really smooth. Let's test that again at the start of our game. Yeah, so the animation was really smooth. Probably we can work on that, but we can see our pipe is actually picking a different one at the start of our game. And also our background. I think, okay, yeah. So our background, our random background, what we want to do, let's go back to our BG. Then just move this instead, since we don't need it here again. Then we're just going to call a ready function here. Paste this here. And want to do is get our ready for sky equals get node, and that's just going to be our canvas layer sprite 2D. Okay, yeah. So also so that our game gives us a different value whenever it starts, we're going to call a randomize function here. So that should be good. Now let's play this again. Okay, yeah. Now so a different background, and I think this really looks good. So I think next up in our game, for our game, we just need to finish this up. All we just need to do is connect our signal and our end screen. Then probably let's see if we can make the player movement smoother. I don't know. Maybe it's okay. To me, I think it still needs some improvement a little, but we'll see about that. So this episode has been really long, and I think we need to stop it for here. And I'll see you in our final video.